All right, so today we're going to do news site number 5, and news site 5 builds on news site number 4, which builds on news site number 3, and then tomorrow we're going to do the last one, which is news site number 6, which is going to build on news site number 5. So today in news site number 5, we're going to work on 2 things. One of them is going to be, let's add an article to our news site. So right now we're just pulling from a random API in the back that's running in the background. We're getting a bunch of lorem ipsums, and we want to add our own article. And at the very end, the second thing that we want to do is we want to add a login. The login is just going to be the UI portion. We're not actually going to be doing any of the actual logging in. We're just building out the page, stubbing everything out, making sure that we can get both the username and the password based off a user's input. But before then, we want to review a few HTTP methods. Now, without looking, because I know everyone's looking, I'm going to go around. I'm going to ask you to define one of the HTTP methods when I go around. So Marcus, what is a get HTTP method?
That's how you make a request to the database to get some.
Okay, what is an example of that? So you said a get request is something that I'm asking for information from the server. When do I do that? Like, can you give me an example of your everyday life of when you make a get request?
Anytime you log into Facebook.
Nope, that's a post request. Yeah.
Get request would be anytime you do a search.
Anytime you do a search, anytime you click on any of these links. So I want to make a get request to this curriculum page. So I'm making a get request. I'm asking github.com to get me all the information revolved around /Juliett Platoon /curriculum. So whenever you type in a URL at the very top and just hit enter, whenever you click on a particular link like this, it's a get request. I'm asking for the server to get me information. John, what's a post request?
A post request is when you are sending information to the server.
Okay, what's an example of when I send information to a server?
Well, Marcos already helped me out with the login. Maybe when you send an email, that might be an example of a post request, or when you leave a comment on a
Yep, when you leave a comment, when you leave a like, or even when I'm like searching for something, maybe I'll just look for news site 6, and I press enter. I'm typing something in here, but I'm sending information over to GitHub to basically find me everything revolved to news site 6. So whenever you have a search bar and not the search bar, not the URL up here. Whenever you have a search bar and you enter something, you press enter, that's a post request because it's capturing some information that you typed in and you're sending it off to the server. Ethan, what's a put and or a patch request?
That's when you're actually placing it. That's when you are actually placing information, like larger chunks of information.
That's technically true, but like so a get is to get something, a post is to send something, a put and a patch is to technically not incorrect, but it's to update something. So if I'm sending something brand new, I send a post request. If I'm updating something that already exists, I set a put or a patch. And then Dan, what's a delete request?
something that you used to delete.
Yep. That one's nice because it's in the name. So get, again, I'm going to grab stuff from a server. I'm asking for information. Post, I'm sending you information. Put and patch, I'm updating something that already exists. And then delete, I'm deleting a record. We've been using async and await. Do we have any? Have we ever used fetch?
Yes, we do.
Okay, so we have used fetch. We're going to use fetch today, and then if we can figure out how to use async and await using a post request, because we've never done that before, then we will. But just for today, just so I know that it works, we're going to do this. So we've been kind of familiar with fetch requests. We've been using it for gets. So this is usually how get requests works. So using fetch, which is a library built into JavaScript, I'm making a request to JSONIP.com. Fetch returns a promise because it's firing off asynchronously, meaning that I'm not waiting for it, it's happening in the background. So the way that I liken a synchronous and an asynchronous function is kind of like going to the dry cleaners. So recently I had to drop off my winter coat to get it clean before the start of the season. So a synchronous request is, hi there, dry cleaning person, here's my coat. And now I'm just gonna wait here until you finish cleaning it. But that's never how it actually happens, right? Like a synchronous request is basically, I'm gonna give you something and I'm gonna wait completely for you to finish it and then you're gonna return it back to me. Now imagine if you had to do that every time you went to the dry cleaner. So you drop off a piece of clothing, you wait for them to finish it, you just sit there and then you get it back. Your entire day is wasted, they were looking at you a little bit strangely, you get the idea. An asynchronous request is kind of what happens in an actual dry cleaner. I drop off my clothes, they give me a little ticket, I can't pick it up without that ticket, and I walk away. I don't care what happens for the rest of the day with regards to my coat. All I know is that by 5 p.m. that day, or whatever the day that we agreed on, my coat will be ready. Now, in the background, there could be a whole bunch of stuff going on. They could be cleaning it in the back. They could be calling someone to pick it up on a bunch of trucks so that they can take it to a central cleaning facility, and then they could clean it and then bring it back to you. Like, we don't know exactly what happens in the background. We don't really care. That's kind of the idea behind an asynchronous request like we see over here with fetch. I'm making a request to JSON IP. JSONIP.com returns me a promise, which is basically that little slip of paper saying, like, I will do this at some point. Once it's finished and it resolves, then you can do .then. You get a response, you turn it into JSON, and then you can do a .catch. .catch basically says, if there's an error, just console log the error. Don't blow up. So this is generally how we make fetch requests with like the fetch method with get requests. But oftentimes I can make requests from a particular, give me a new Instagram person today, please.
Bill Murray.
Bill Murray, legend. Which one is Bill Murray?
Oh, I have no idea.
All right, let's choose this first one, even though I know it's not. That's not him.
Different,
All right, so it's not actually Bill Murray, but it is close enough. So on this React app, I'm going to show you an example of a GET request and also an example of a POST request. So when I go down to the bottom, there's something called infinite scroll. You'll notice that I need to log in. You'll notice that I never actually run out of pictures of Bill Murray at all. The further down that I go, I'm making more GET requests using fetch. So you'll notice that this page never refreshes. It's not like I have to refresh the page to get the next number of Bill Murray pictures. Let me inspect this, go to network, turn this to slow 3G, and you'll see this in a little bit more real time. So as I go down, you'll notice that on the right side of my screen here, where this, whatever this thing is, the sidebar is, I go all the way down and I never run out of pictures. I'm on the same page. The page never refreshes. You'll never see this thing over here refresh for me. So what's happening? JavaScript is detecting I'm reaching the bottom of the page, make a fetch request to get a bunch of new pictures so that I can load them onto the screen so that it's a continuous flow of information and a continuous flow of pictures. So that's, a lot of fetch is basically just getting a bunch of information and putting it out there. A lot of the other half of the fetch requests, what you can do is to post requests in the background. So you'll notice that when you're on Facebook or you're on Twitter or if you're on Instagram, you type in a comment for somebody, you press submit, and all of a sudden it immediately shows up as that you've actually submitted something. Let's go to, I don't want to log into my own Facebook, I'm on YouTube forever. Can I just say that if you were to go to facebook.com, leave a comment on somebody's status, it shows up immediately. Everyone kind of gets that concept, right? It shows up and it looks like it's automatically inside the database within a fraction of a second. That's not actually what happens all the time. So what happens is your computer will update what you see on the screen. Chrome will update what you see on the screen, and in the background, it's making a post request using the fetch method inside of JavaScript. So again, it's like that dry cleaner. I'm typing in the comment, I press enter, and immediately there's feedback saying like, oh, it's there. It's right over there. But in the background, what's happening is it's getting all of your comment together and it's sending a post request and it'll update in the background at some point in the future. It's not updating right away. And that's kind of what we've got over here. We've got.
Is that why, like, sometimes people, like, if there's multiple people that make comments, they'll make a comment and then somebody else comment will put about yours because they are happening. Your screen initially updates and then later their thing gets added to the database because of their asynchronicity, they let it happen. So they did it for processes were done at different times.
Those are called kind of. That goes into what's called a race condition. So the idea behind what you just asked is, I've got 5 people trying to hit the database all at the same time. Who's going to be the first one if they all hit at the exact same time? We can talk about that one a little bit later. Yeah, but you're not far off at all. It's like 99% correct. All right, so let's take a look at this particular fetch request. So let's say that we have an article object. It's a object because it's got the curly braces. The title is called test. The byline is byline test, and the abstract is a nonsensical string. What we're doing here is very similar to the GET request above it. We're going to make a fetch to localhost 3001/API/articles, but we're also passing a bunch of other stuff. Usually we're just saying, fetch the information found at JSON IP. So I'm making a fetch request here. I'm saying that the headers, this is what I'm sending you. I'm sending you JSON, and I'm going to specify the method as post. You'll notice that in the GET requests, we don't actually specify the method. If you don't specify the method, it's going to be GET by default. So I'm saying I'm going to make a fetch request to here. This is what I'm sending you. The content type is going to be JSON. I'm sending it via a post. And inside this post, there's going to be a JSON stringified version of my article object right over here. And then that's it. The fetch request will return a promise. After the promise resolves, then take the response, turn it into JSON, then take that JSON and just console log it out to the screen. We'll see this happen right over here. So first things first, I'm going to grab the entire source directory from news site number 4. I'm going to paste it directly into the repo. I've done that a little bit before class. I've copied the news site 4 from yesterday. Again, I opened that pull request, so you can just go ahead and grab all the code from there if you want a place to start. I just copied and pasted the entire source file inside of here. After that, I ran npm run update tests. I have a few tests that I need you to pass for today, and then it updated a few of those tests in the source directory. Then I ran npm install, and right now I'm going to run npm start. As this is loading up, I just want to verify that no errors are going to show up. All right, so this is what we saw yesterday. We worked on this together. We have a home page. We've got an article page where we can see an article. We've got a section page where we're able to see just the articles related to this particular section. I believe it's opinion, world, politic, national, and business. I think these 3 don't have anything in them. And then if we jump back to the home page, we have a search bar over here where we are capturing everything that's happening inside the search bar, AUT, and I'm able to get just the titles where AUT shows up.
I have a question.
Yes.
So for the search bar, where you were running into an issue where we hit backslash,
Yep.
It breaks. Why is that exactly?
AUT, this one?
Yeah, if you put backslash in there, it breaks.
Because there's no backslash in any of them.
The other one.
Oh. Oh, okay, that's interesting. All right, I don't know. No one has ever caught this one. Let's see. So articles.map is not a function. So I'm guessing that when you do, oh, let's chase it. Let's take a look. So let's chase this down. This is the way that I would troubleshoot. I'm on the main page over here. So the way that I determine where I'm at is I go into app.js, Close this down over here. I'm looking for the route slash over here. I see it line 18. The component that handles it is homepage. So I don't know where homepage comes from. I look at line 6. I know that comes from pages, homepage. So I'm just going to do Command T, paste in homepage, and I've got this handle search right over here. So something is happening right over here. So I know that I'm able to capture the user input because when I do this and it doesn't break with AUT, I'm capturing the input. It's probably being saved as user input on line 19. What's happening here is if you do user input does not equal that, then it's going to fire off this stuff over here. So let's take a look at what response is. Let's not set the state. Let's just console log the response. Okay. All right, so I'm going to open up the console here on the bottom. I'm going to clear everything off using Command K. I'm going to do a backslash. All right, so there is a 400 with a bad request. What is the error? Cannot parse JSON encoded object value. What does that even mean? So let's jump back over here. So let's take a look inside of Articles API. There's a function called Search Articles. Search Articles has text to look for. All right, so we're making a request to this particular endpoint, localhost 3001 API articles filter equals where title is I like a backslash.
I bet because when you have a single backslash in the field, it's treating it like you're trying to put an escape error.
That sounds smart. Let's take a look. Can I search? Let's actually. That might work. That might be right. I actually think Ethan's right here. So if you look right here, I'm going to do a backslash here. So remember when we do things like, and we have let's imagine that we have a single quote string. Let's say I have let's put this here. So I've got a string like this where it's string. But if I want to put an apostrophe and I want to look for a string that's this entire thing right here, it's going to be string, but I want it to be strings. So you would have to put a backslash there and then another quote. I have no idea. Short answer is I don't know. I tried. I thought that was going to be it. But what I did find out is that if you do a backslash, you get an error. If you do another backslash, you don't get an error. If you do another backslash, you get an error. If you don't do another backslash, it's not an error. My thought is Ethan's probably right with something with escape characters, and the way that this API is set up with this backslash, you just can't do that. There's something I might do here that if there's an error, I would just return an empty array and then it wouldn't blow up. So maybe we can take a look. Maybe we can just go down a quick rabbit hole with that. So async await catch errors. All right, so I'm just going to grab this first one because it's the first one that shows up. I'm just going to look on the entire page for the word error. There's 29 instances of it. Syntax error. Looking, okay, there it is. Reject new error. Wait, promise, reject. Throw new error. Try catch. Okay, looks like there's a catch function right over here. So I'm going to grab this whole thing and just paste it in here and try to troubleshoot it. So we've got the function. That's this line over here, this line 20. So I'm basically saying line 19 and 20 is very similar. Looks like I can have a try function, which is basically try to make this work, and if there's an error, then it'll blow up. So try this over here. And if there's an error, just console log the error, but then return empty array. I hope this will work. We'll find out. All right, we're going to come back over here. It looks like everything still works. Let's just make sure that if I could do AUT, I only have 5. You can see I started off with 34, then it became 6, then it became 5. Back goes back to 6, goes back to 34, goes back to everything. If I do backslash, there is a get error, but you can notice that nothing blows up on the screen. Before, it used to violently blow up on the screen. It console logs the error that came back, which is that one where it says you cannot parse JSON encoded object value, but the page didn't blow up. So as far as we're concerned as the regular user, and as long as I don't console log the error actually out onto the page, it still works. The moment that I go back to the way things were, let me just copy this. And I do the same thing with a backslash, the whole page. What? I don't know. I don't even know. Short answers, I don't know. Sorry. Where were we though? Okay. So what we're going to do is all right. So we've got. If you take a look on our page right over here, we have all of these articles, and the last article is this one that ends with ipsum. So far, we're just making all GET requests. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to make a POST request. I'm just going to copy each line, line by line, paste it inside the console, and then just press enter and see what happens. But if we saw a little bit earlier, we've got this article object, which is a giant object of just all the required things for the article. We're making a fetch request to /API/articles. This is what we're sending over. We're sending it via a post, and this is what we're sending it as the actual body. Let's see if this works. Copy this. Go here. Go down to the bottom. Go to the console. Go to the screen. Paste this. All right. You'll notice that right away I had a promise. I turned that promise into a JSON, and then we console logged the ending result right over here. If I refresh the page at this point, scroll all the way down to the bottom, there's my test article that I sent over a little bit before, with the test, byline tests, and ASDF right over here. Yeah. So that's happening if I just call it directly inside the console. We do have some validations on the back end that we've set up for you already that will not. Nothing will happen if I pass in an incomplete data set. So you'll notice this had a title and this one does not. I believe I've set it up so that you must have a title in the background. All right, so let's go back to the home page. There are 41 articles at the current moment. Scroll all the way down to the bottom. There's test right over there. Clear the screen, paste this inside of there. So I've got article object with no title. It's the same function as we saw before. Press enter. I got that promise. That's the first thing that's returned from the fetch request. And this says 422. 422. The 400 error codes are error codes. Remember, 200 is yes, I'd like to go on a date with you. 300 is let me redirect you to my friend. 400 is no. 500 is it's not you, it's me. The error that I got back was the article instance is not valid. Title can't be blank. So we set that up for you that way. Check the console for some errors. Part of your job today is to handle these types of errors. It's 8:55. Let's take a quick break. We'll come back at like 9:00. Let's say we'll come back at 9. All right, so we're back, and we are looking here at release number 0, just to create a method called add article to the articles API. So we're gonna. Is there a dog? Hold on. Pause. Anyway, all right. So again, like I mentioned, we are creating an add article method for the articles API. So we're going to build a function inside of this particular file that we can send article data. So let's jump back over here and take a look at our articles API. We've got a few methods so far, and every single one of them so far is just a GET request. So fetch article by ID, so it's basically I'm providing you something, but I'm making a GET request to localhost 3001 with this particular article ID. I am going to fetch articles by section. I'm going to fetch all the articles. I'm going to search the articles. But these are all GET requests. I haven't been able to send anything yet. And that's what we're going to do here with this add article. So we're going to have something that's going to look more or less like this. So I'm going to copy this for right now. And I'm going to create a new method down over here. So I'm going to create a function called, and I'm going to do this without using async await because I don't know how to do that right now. So const add article. It's going to take in an article object. And then from there, I'm going to create a fat arrow function. Before I do anything, let me throw it down to the export default at the bottom so that it's able to be used outside of this. I'm going to move this all the way up here. So I've got this add article with, with article object. I'm going to return a fetch request to this particular URL, localhost 3001/API/articles. This tells me what I'm sending over. It's going to be sent via a post request. And then what I'm sending over in the body is a stringified version of the article object. This is all that you need to do for this add article endpoint. So if I jump back over here, you can read through this on your own. But it says that a new test has been added to verify the behavior. Once all of my unit tests succeed, besides it renders an add article link, you may continue on to the next section. Okay, so with that, I'm going to put up my console here. I'm going to kill the server. And how do I run the tests? npm run test. How did you know how to say npm run test? Let's actually jump over here to package.json. Inside of package.json, there's a bunch of scripts that we have. So when we run npm run start or npm run test, there's no magic underneath the hood that it just magically works. When we run start, it's literally npm concurrently kill others, and all this stuff right over here. And then when we have npm run test, it's just npm react scripts test env.js. So when I run npm run test, hopefully everything will pass, and they won't be angry with me. While we're waiting, let's jump over here to this next section. We're going to talk about the add article page. I'm going to have you all walk me through this add article page. So let's just read through this as we're waiting. So we're going to create a new page. It's going to be called add article. So we can start thinking about the things that we need to do in order to get the add article page to even show up. We should have a route for that, it looks like, for /add article. We probably need a component and a route for that. We need to add that link to the navigation component. Let's make sure that it redirects me to the appropriate route. And this is still waiting. Okay, this takes too long. Trust me that this works. All right, so we're here again. Our main entry point into the app is what? Index.js, true, which immediately takes me to app.js here on line 8. So I'm here on inside of app.js, and this is asking me to create an add article page. So it says that I need to first create a route to /add article. So I'm just going to kind of go around the room just and tell me how I create a route that says add article.
You start after line 20, right route, exact path.
Okay. So I'm creating a new route. called add article, and the component that will handle it is what?
Add article.
Why not? Let's call that add article page, because it's going to be an actual page that we're rendering. All right, let's continue on. Jordan, am I done here? Do I have to do anything else?
You want me to import it?
All right, I will need to import it in the import section, so I'm just going to copy this whole line 8, post it here. Double click on section page, Command D to get the second one, add article page. Cool. Let's continue on. Dan, what's the next thing that I need to do? I've created a route, I've created the component for it, I've imported it at the very top. What's next?
Create the article page.
Yeah, create the article page. You'll notice that if I actually go to the pages folder, there's article page, home page, section page, but no add article page. So I'm going to create that next. Add article page.js. Cool. For now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy the home page, paste it inside of article page, change home page to add article page. I'm going to get rid of every single method for right now. I don't think I need it. I'm just going to return, you have reached the add article page. I'm going to get rid of all of these as well. Just have a really, really clean, simple class component called add article page that just renders out the words, you have reached the add article page. How do I test that this route works successfully? Add article. Add article. And it says you have reached the add article page. So we've just successfully created a route for ourselves. Again, to recap what we just did, Justin told me to add a route, to type it like this, and with it, a component called add article page. Jordan told me to import at the very top. Dan told me to create the actual page itself. And then I just posted, I just had this inside of here, which is you have reached the add article page. Cool. Let's see what else they're asking me to do. Once your page component and route are established, add a link to the nav component that points to this page. And while we're at it, let's clean up a few of these things because not all of them have sections underneath it. And when I click on home, it's taking me to /home, but I want it to take me maybe to just / in general. So what handles my navigation? I'm back in app.js. Where's my navigation? AppNav. All right, so I'm going to copy this. It's located inside of components, appnav, appnav.js, or I can just do Command T, and it looks like this. So I'm here at this point, and I need to also have, a couple other nav items. Right now, I just have a link to this particular section, and that's not all the things that I need. How do I add an extra route to also include /add article? Where would that go? Yep.
So you add it in after inside your return statement.
I could do it inside my return statement, sure. So you're saying like right here, I just create another link?
Yeah.
All right, so link to, I think I can just hard code this to /add article. And then I'll just say add an article. Let's see if this works. And there it is, add an article. If I hover over it on the bottom left-hand corner, you can see /add article. Click on it, takes me to add article, which says you have reached the add article page. Now there's a few things. I want this /home to actually take me to the home page, and I want this to look more similar. This is not what I want it to look like. Maybe it's because that B is not there. And then I'll move this to the very end. So again, all I've just done is I've made this bold. And add an article kind of looks the same. It's not capitalized, but you get the idea. And there's a few of these app nav components at the very top that are not what I want. So some of them are empty. So if I click on national, there's stuff in there, but if I click on politics, there's nothing inside of there. So where can I update my navigation bar so that doesn't include the politics, upshot, New York region? Yep, exactly. So on line number 3, we're pulling all the sections in from this particular file called sections.json. So I'm here. Oh, there's everything. I probably don't need home. Opinion, I think, is there. World, does world have anything in it? Let's find out.
World and national.
World,
Business. So
upshot, and New York region. So no upshot, no politics, and no New York region.
So you can also just add the link right there
I could
for your ad article.
do that. I do want a home button as well. So Ethan was saying that I could add a bunch of stuff into the sections. And I think I probably could, but the way that I've coded this right now, it's going to be to /section/something rather than just to /add article. So that's why I have it over here. I'm going to do another bold right at the beginning with another link. I'm just going to copy this whole line, actually. And if it's going to make a just slash, I'll have this as home. And then I'm going to actually do that. So hopefully this will look good. So we've got home, opinion, world, national, business, and add our article. When I click on this, it takes me back to the main page. Opinion, world, national, business, add article. You can kind of see just how fast this is operating, because it's actually not, the power behind React is that it's not making actual requests to the backend unless it needs to. The reason why we have all of these node modules up over here is that, once your particular app loads on a person's Chrome, all of the node modules, all the JavaScript code is loaded into that person's machine. The reason behind this is because as more people get on the internet, there are a fixated number of there's only a certain number of servers that we can create as mankind, and there's only a certain number of servers that a particular website can handle. But so what they're doing is they're basically saying, I'm going to pass off a lot of the heavy lifting onto your personal device, which is why when you have Google Chrome open, it sucks all the memory away from your computer because it's using so much power on your machine. But it's better that we distribute all the load onto your machine rather than send it all to the server. Exactly. If I was on here, you can see it's barely even updating. The page itself is not re-rendering. It's not making a full server request to request and response cycle. It's just most of the stuff is loaded onto your machine already. All right, so we're back onto the add article page. Right now it just says you have reached the add article page. And we need to, let's create the content that the add article page should render. We need to render a form, and that form should contain 3 fields: title, byline, and abstract. In addition to the form fields, you're also going to need to create a submit button. All right, so it's not app nav that I need to be in. It's not sections that I need to be in. It's add article page. Right now, it just says you've reached the article page. So let's create a form that just has 3 fields inside of it. When we submit it, we just want to console log those things that we just typed in. Consider using React Bootstrap components to create these forms, of AKA this right here. All right. Okay. I like this. Working text with validation. Anything else look good to you? This one looks good. Supported controls. There's a lot of stuff here. What I'm going to do, let's just get this right over here. So I'm going to create a form. It looks like there's form group. There's control ID, which is form basic text. Control label, form control. Let's just grab this whole thing. I'm going to grab this whole return and hope that it works. Okay. I've got the return already here on line 5, so I can get rid of it. I don't think I need this div anymore since I have the form. I can get rid of this div. All right, so I've got the form group, and I don't want to validate anything. So I'm going to just put this back. Control label, working example with validation. What is that? Oh, it's just this thing up here. Get rid of control label. Maybe that for right now. Let's just see if anything happens. If it shows up on the screen at all. And it does not. Yep. It looks like I got to bring in form group and form control from React Bootstrap. So I'm going to bring that in up here. So import form group and form control from React Bootstrap. I think it's just React Strap. Sorry. And can't resolve React Strap, so we need React Bootstrap. Please. All right, so we got enter title right over here. And I can type in a bunch of stuff, but nothing will happen. So if I type in even one letter, nothing really happens. Because there is no method called handle change quite yet. That's pretty simple. So we're just going to create a method called handle change. It takes in an event. I'm just going to console log event.target.value. So it's already loaded. A, B, C, D, E, F, G. So I am able to capture this using React Bootstrap's a little bit nicer form. Now I need to repeat this a few times. I need to enter the title, the byline, and the abstract. So I've got title, byline, abstract. I just copied it over 3 times, but there's no way to determine what I'm talking about. Does that make sense? I have form control. It's just, the type is basically what are you going to be entering here? It's just text. What's the placeholder? When it changes, what are you going to do? So I have one single onChange function for this entire thing. But it's like, how am I going to identify that it is the title or the byline or the abstract? What are people's thoughts?
Name. Give it a name.
Use a single function, take it all in.
I could use that.
Give each one of them a name.
Yep, we could, or we could just do name, title, name, byline, and then finally we have name equals abstract. So let's just do event.target for now to see what we get. So back over here, A. So I have all of this stuff that shows up. Maybe let's just do .value again and see what happens. This doesn't change anything.
In your handle change function, pull out.
Perhaps. Let's try event.target.title for now. Nothing, nothing, and nothing. They hate me. So event.target doesn't really work there. So you're saying that event. like that, but each one of them have a name.
Yeah, but then each form that you fill will that will just have the right direction.
So I'm just doing, it's just putting title, byline, and abstract. So we're getting a little closer. What's next?
So then you want to store it in the state where that function, the thing, so then function to well, you want some kind of a trigger so like a button to actually select the whole form. You
Right.
want to make the post request once.
Right. Right now, I'm just trying to get the things in particular to each one here.
The title dot value.
The title dot value. I don't think so.
So I'm saying you're
Pull out the name and the value from this dot target or event dot target.
so that event dot target dot name comma event dot target dot value.
Can anyone hear me?
I can hear you. Like that?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's find out. Title A, byline B, abstract C.
So two different pieces of information you have to combine it together.
Sure. Not a bad way to go about it. Yeah. We're going to have to construct the dictionary. Right now, it's just a form with fields inside of it. And change.
Or rather than having the handle changes paths as an entity to a form control how the class is on submit from your form as a whole. So you probably want to be doing your each piece or all of the pieces at once.
Not a bad idea actually. So I think what we've just seen is that when we have this on change, and again we just copied and pasted this directly from the React Bootstrap website. We're changing we're looking for changes on one particular thing. Like we just care about the changes over here, here, and here. But we don't care about what we've actually changed on each one. We just want to submit the form. And from the form submission, we can grab which one's which. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new function. I'm going to call this onSubmit equals this handle submit. I'm going to get rid of all the on changes for right now. And I do need a like a submit button. So I don't know how to do that. Let's take a look back over here. Is there a submit that you see? Submit. All right, so it's right down there. I know it's going to be after email@example.com. So that's the first instance of it. The other one's down over here. Looks like there's just a button type of submit. And I'm going to put this at the very bottom of the form. And let's do this for now. Let's just do console log hello. Make this an underscore because we're not using it. So no matter what happens on the screen, crap, button's not defined. Yep, import button up right over here. So no matter what happens, we're going to enter the title, the byline, and the abstract, and then there's just a submit button. When I click on the submit button, oh crap, what happened? I'm inside the form control. Let's find out. Okay, doesn't matter what I type in, submit. Submit by default will actually try to refresh the page and send some stuff. So one thing we can do right beforehand is we can do prevent default. And then we can console log hello. Hopefully this will work. Let's go back to /add article. Submit. Nope. I think our submit button is in the wrong place. Or this is in the wrong place. Don't disagree. I'm just trying different things out. All right, you know what? I'm going to go with what I know, just for the sake of time. I'm going to get rid of all this stuff over here and actually just create a regular basic HTML form. I know I need a div. Inside of there, I'll have like an H3 or something, which is called add an article. From there, I'll create a form. This form on submit will execute this handle change, handle submit. I think I figured out what was wrong. Let's go back. So this form called handle submit, and we called this handle change. Refresh. Hey, there we go. So everything was correct. We just called the wrong method, and that was really stupid. So right now, we are not capturing anything inside. We just have a form that when we hit the submit button, it just console logs hello. So now, instead of that, let's console log event.target.value and just see what happens. A, B, C, submit, and I get undefined. Maybe 0. Maybe it's ordered by the number. A, B, and C. And everything is blowing up. You cannot read 0 of undefined. Maybe something else. Yeah, so let's just take a look at the event.target to begin with. So we're just going to type A, B, and C again. Submit. We have a bunch of HTML. Mm-hmm. I don't know how to do it. Anyone have an idea?
State change?
It's not state change. So you're saying target.name?
So the title.
Find out. A, B, and C. All right. We've got all of this here. Let's Google it. React form control, React Bootstrap form control, get value. How to get the value of a form control input. Okay, there's one from 2017, close enough. How do I get it? All right, something like this example should work. This dot input node equals node.
Input reference inside of your form.
I'm going to go look for a little bit later. This dot text input. Okay, form control has a ref prop, which allows us to use React refs. Okay, so I'm going to try to copy this one because it seems to be a little bit more recent. It came out this particular year. Essentially what I'm looking for on this page is how many thumbs up and hearts there are, because those are the things that are probably going to be useful. So what I'm going to do is at the very top, again, this is a class component, I'm going to initialize the ref. This text input, I'm going to call this this title. Byline and abstract. from here, it looks like I have access to actually get the reference from value equals this dot text input, which was before dot current dot value. And inside of here, it looks like I need to create a reference to this. Cool. I'm going to throw all of this inside of the form control. I'm going to call this, it's not going to be this, it's going to be this dot title. Get rid of the title over here. Call this ref equals this dot byline. And finally, I'll do this dot abstract. All right, I have a handle submit over here. I don't think I need that. I'm going to just get a particular value and then console log that out here. So I'll just call this title. I'm going to call this const title, this dot title dot current dot value. Get rid of all of this for now. I need this. And if this doesn't work, I'm just going back to what I know. Let's see if it works. I'm hopeful. Okay. Cannot set title of undefined. Let's go back up to here. Maybe I copied something wrong. Constructor, this dot. Not set title of undefined. Constructor, did I forget something with constructor? Okay. Let's try title 1, B, and C. Submit, undefined. Okay. All right, this is taking too long. I'm going to just bring in the old one of these. So I'm going to get rid of this completely. No React Bootstrap. And submit.
Submit button have one.
I don't even care. All right, this is a super easy form. We've got a div, an H3 that just says add an article, and then we have a form that says on submit, handle form submit. I'll change this to handle submit. I've got a title. The input type is going to be text. The name is going to be title. Name is byline, abstract. And it's just a giant form with inputs for you to actually type in stuff. And then there's a submit button at the very bottom. If all goes well here, I should just be able to console log event.target.element. If I find out that this whole thing is because I did elements instead of value, I'll be very upset. All right, event.target.elements 0 value. I'm just trying to get the title at this particular point. I've got 3 text inputs. I'm going to call it title 1, 2, 3. Byline is byline. Abstract is abstract. When I hit the submit button, I do get that title 1, 2, 3 at the very top. So I do have access to the title, the byline, and the abstract at this particular point. Let's just try 0, 1, 2. I'm going to try this to do title 1, 2, 3. And I'll just do whatever. And this one's just going to be abstract, 1, 2, 3. Submit. I get all 3 of these things in a particular row. And at this point, since I have all 3 inputs, I can make it into a JSON object, send it over to the back end, and then hopefully it'll be able to actually add an article. So from here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to basically create an article object. So const article object is equal to a giant array. It's going to be title, which is this. Byline, which is going to be the second thing. And then the third one is going to be the abstract. Get rid of all your console logs. These all have to have commas. And then the keys are already strings. And then finally, I'm going to make a request to my add article API using the code that was in the curriculum already. So what we've got here is we are going to just add an article. And then response, let's get rid of this for right now. We're just going to console.log the response. Nope, because remember, we wrote the add article. I'm going to bring in import add article, articles API. I need to go out one level, go into API, and then go to articles API. I don't think you need the .js in the very end. So let's see if this works. All right, so if I go back to my home page, my last article is ipsum down over here. If I go to add an article and I create a awesome title with a byline that is great, awesome abstract, hit submit. My response is just this response over here, but nothing happens. But if I jump back to home and I scroll all the way down to the bottom, there's my awesome title created today on 10/31/19. Awesome title, byline that is great, also awesome abstract at the very bottom. But you'll notice that this is not great because I can do 1, 2, 3, 3, 2, 1, 4, 5, 6 and hit submit, and it's not redirecting me at all. Why is it not redirecting me? I didn't tell it to. It's not magic. I told it to prevent default. How do you think we should handle this? I don't know. There's a handle submit. For the sake of time, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a state object at the very top. I'm going to create a key called redirect. I'm going to make it equal to false. Yep. Got it. All right. So I've got the response. Remember the response before. Let's just console log the response for right now. 3, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, whatever. Submit. You'll notice that there's a status code of 200 when the response is successful. And you'll also notice that if I submit something with 1, 2, without an abstract, and I hit the submit, I get a 422 because I'm missing some stuff. So based off the status code, I can successfully say if something was submitted and added to the article list successfully. So based off of the status code that's getting back to me, I'm going to basically say if the status code is 200, change the state so that it will redirect, and then in the render down over here, it's going to actually redirect for me. So I'm going to make this a little bit more challenging. If response.status is equal to 200, I'm going to this.set state of redirect is now true. Otherwise, get response.json, then JSON data alert data JSON. And then down over here at the very bottom, before the return, if this dot state dot redirect is triple equal to true, return redirect to flash. Redirect is a library that's given to me from React Router DOM, so I do have to import at the very top. So import redirect from React Router DOM. Let's just make sure this works, and I'll explain it, and then we'll come back. All right, refresh the page. John's title, John's byline, John's abstract. Submit, and I've redirected it back to the home page, all the way to down to the bottom, John's title. Let me try doing this where I don't have everything. So 1, 2, 3, 3, 2, 1, submit, and it says, there's a pop-up that says the article instance is not valid. You can't have abstract be blank. Let's explain what happened here. So I've got this add article page. I'm bringing in all the React stuff. I'm bringing in the redirect library from React Router DOM, and also the articles API. I need to basically keep track of, did I submit something already? So I have a state variable called redirect, and I set it equal to false to begin with. Down over here, I've got if this.state.redirect is equal to true, meaning I've submitted something successfully, I'm going to redirect you to the home page. Otherwise, it just stays on that page forever. Then I've got this form down over here with add an article. I've got the title, the byline, and the abstract. When I submit it, this .handle submit fires off. This .handle submit is right over here. It takes in the entire event, prevents the default because submit usually redirects you right away. I'm going to grab all the stuff that you typed in, put it into an article object, and then pass that off to articles API add article, which we did a little bit earlier. Once I get a response back, if the response status is 200, I'm going to say that, hey, you actually submitted something. This is probably better off to say like, already submitted article. So when you first start, the state is false because you haven't submitted an article yet because you just got to that page. If the response status is 200, then we're going to set the state as already submitted being true. Otherwise, I'm going to alert you that something went wrong. Once set state fires off, it re-renders the entire component, which will take us down to this render, and that's why we get redirected back out to the front. And then finally, we've got a login page, and we just want to be able to capture that. We're going to do the same thing as we usually do, create a route, create a component, create the file, and then create a form onto that page. So first things first, app.js, create a new route called /login. The component that will handle it will probably be called login page. I will add that over here. From there, inside of pages, I am going to add in a login page. And then I'll create this, and I'll copy the entire add article page into add login page. I am just going to get the username and the password and not do anything with it besides console log. I'll call this user object and overwrite this. Probably don't need state, at least not yet. Get rid of all this down over here. And then render a form. I'll get this as username. And then also as password. And if all goes well, I can get rid of these two for now. If all goes well, I can go here, go to /login. I'll get a username and a password. So I'll do john@email.com, and my password is 123123. I submit it, I get username and password. Now down over here it says there should be two text inputs, one for an email, one for a password. Password fields are slightly different from text inputs where it says that. We're going to do type input equals password. What you saw a little bit earlier was that I had password out in plain text like this. So I'm going to do john@emailcode.com, 123123. It's not showing up on the page. It's now a password input. When I press submit, I still am able to capture that. Let's see if there's anything left. That's done for right now. There's no error handling. We already did that. Yep. Other questions on today's stuff? I appreciate everyone playing along with my fumbling. All right, I'm going to stop the recording right here, and we'll open up for a few questions.